My name is Carey Craddock. I'm the Director of Programming for the festival. Welcome to this afternoon's Canadian premiere screening of Wildlife. To begin, we would like to acknowledge that today's event is taking place on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of New Credit and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work in this community. We are very pleased to present this film at the Visa Screening Room at the Princess of Wales Theatre and thank Visa Canada for making that possible. Yay for them. Okay, Visa. Good partners. This film is eligible for the Girls People's Choice Award. You can vote for your favorite films at tiff.net/vote. A huge thank you to IFC Films and Film Nation Entertainment for providing us with this film today. This is director Paul Dano's first feature film, but he's been at the festival many times before in front of the camera, including with Prisoners, 12 Years a Slave, and Love and Mercy. With Wildlife, which he co-wrote with Zoe Kazan, Paul reveals his incredible talent behind the camera, joining a canon of filmmakers that explore the meaning and the cost of the American dream, and this time with a very timely feminist lens. I first saw this film at the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year and knew that I wanted to reserve a space at our festival for Paul to showcase his precise direction that really allows the film's cast to shine. Ed Oxenbould, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Carey Mulligan all deliver show-stopping performances in Wildlife, and we are very fortunate to have director Paul Dano and Carey Mulligan here today for an introduction and a Q&A after the screening, so please stay for that. But now, please join me in welcoming to the stage the director of Wildlife, Paul Dano.
Thanks. I'll give you a hand. Thank you, Carey, for having us here, and to everybody at the Toronto Film Festival. I've been fortunate to be here many times as an actor, but have never been more excited to be here now as a director. There are way too many people to thank in helping us make this film, and I've never valued collaboration more deeply and greatly than I have on this journey. I just can't possibly thank them all, but there is one person I would like to thank here tonight, and that's our film editor. He happens to be a hometown hero, and his parents are here, and Canada's greatest editor, Matt Hannum. Thanks, Matt. And I'd also like to bring out my friend Carey Mulligan. Carey and I have been friends for a long time. Really, really special experience getting to work with her in this capacity and all of our actors. And we had a nice creative family to make a film about family, and we hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks. Good? Thanks. Let's have Carey Mulligan come out here.
I'd like to start this out by asking you, Paul, about how you found Richard Ford's novel and sort of why this was an important project for you and Zoe to write.
Yeah, I just read a book called Wildlife by Richard Ford. I was immediately taken by the first sentence and first paragraph, in fact, are one of my favorite openings to a book ever. So just as a reader, I was in right from the start, and pretty quick, even 20, 30 pages into the book, I was having a sort of uncanny feeling reaction, like, you know, how does this other person have such a perception into how I've felt before. I read the book many times over the course of a year and knew I think I wanted to try to make a film of it, but was sort of just trying to almost really make sure I could. Like, can I write something? Can I direct something, and when I thought of what the final scene and the final image of the film might be, which is different than the book, once I had that image in my head, I knew where I was walking towards, and then I thought I could do it, and so Zoe and I started to write it.
The story is obviously mostly told from Joe's perspective, but it has such an important lens for Carey's character, Jeanette. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the importance of the different perspectives in the story.
Yeah, that was actually a really hard thing to manage in the writing phase. I think part of what the film is about maybe is like the mystery of who our parents are. So there was a temptation as a writer to really like, should we have more scenes of just Jeanette alone? Should we have more of Jerry? Like I was trying to understand them. You know, the process is kind of a search. Ultimately, you know, we went there as writers just to learn and then kind of brought it back because I think it really it had to be through the kid's point of view so that the parents could remain slightly mysterious and so that we could try to make something where you feel everything they're going through, but maybe we don't spell it out because that's not what the experience of growing up actually is.
Carey, your character perhaps has the most visible evolution throughout the film and one of personality, and I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about how you kind of prepared for your character to come out of her shell, so to speak. I'm wondering if you guys shot it sequentially, for example.
No. The first scene was the diner scene when they go and visit the fire. So that was the first thing we shot. It was kind of, the script was so there, it was all on the page. I think sometimes, in the past, sometimes I've come to a female role and I've thought to myself, there's like a 90% or 80% character there, and I think I can flesh it out and make it like what I want it to be. But with this, Jeanette was just there on the page, and the challenge was just figuring her out. And most of that was done in the room. You know, we went to Montana, we sat in a room, and we talked about it. And then we had rehearsals, and we worked as a little company of actors. And that was so amazing to work with just 3 other people. You know, really, it felt like theatre. But it was all really just conversations with Paul and with Ed and with Jake to just figure it out.
We can throw it out to you guys now. Are there any questions from the audience? Yes, just down here. Your hands up near the aisle. Yep. So it's a bit of a two-parter there, I think. So Paul, maybe if you could talk a little bit about your collaboration with your DP and the development of the visual style of the film, and then Carey, if you want to talk about what it was like to work within that sort of visual design.
Yeah, I was very lucky to find Diego Garcia. I love him, and he spoke probably the least good English of any of the DPs I met, but spoke the closest language to me. And it was so much fun, and that was part of the process I was so looking forward to. I think that a lot of the feeling of the camera is even there in the script, just sort of the right from the get-go, the film is the film, and you're kind of always making it every step of the way. But Diego and I spent a lot of time, especially when you're working on a budget and it's your first film. We were really well prepared with how we wanted to photograph the film, and certainly a lot of inspiration from paintings and photographs and films and this and that, but creating the colors and the textures, and then trying to think about, okay, so many people have done it brilliantly where you make something look really old. What if we just let the production design do that, but actually go for a really clear kind of present image? And it was so fun to discover with him the lenses and the look, and with production designer Akeem McKenzie and our costume designer Amanda Ford as well. And that's one of the great things about making a period film as a director, is that you have complete control over the image because you can't point the camera anywhere, because it wouldn't be correct. So we actually get to make every frame, which is so fun. And working in a period film, something that was really important to me for these guys was because the film is a family portrait, and that sort of informs the photography, was knowing that the frames were going to be composed to a certain degree, letting the actor's inner life within that hopefully be the thing that has movement. And so I don't know, how do you feel when you act in a period film?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that it wasn't a sort of hitting your mark kind of job. Like, we felt we had so much freedom within the frame to do whatever we wanted. A lot of those scenes, particularly the scenes with Jake, were all so volatile and changed so much, and we had like many different versions of the scene when Jake leaves to fight the fire. So we just had space to do what we wanted to do and play, and there was a lot of freedom in what we could do, because we didn't have to. It wasn't sort of and there were no, like, it wasn't a camera move situation or.
One of the great things, though, about having somebody like Carey as a writer-director is there is a sense of language sometimes in a period film, and Carey has such a great facility with language and the sound of her voice, and I think just having done plays and, you know, certain actors can really wrap themselves around the language in a really wonderful way, and that's something I actually value. We didn't improvise a whole lot because the diction's important, and that's really fun. And so when an actor can take something that's really specifically written but make it feel alive and theirs, it's really beautiful to watch, and I was lucky to have these guys.
And we had a lot of fun with Amanda Ford, who was our costume designer, in when Jake's character leaves and she starts going through this sort of cycle of personalities, trying to figure out who she might be, and she goes back and wears the costume that she, when she talks about being a shoot beauty, and the dress that she wears to Warren Miller's house, the looks that she goes through, and these different personalities she's exploring, and that's all through costume, and her going to get a job outfit, and that was all really playful and fun.
Are there any other questions from the audience? We'll just go to this side on the aisle here in the white shirt. Yep. So the question is for Paul. You've written films before, like Ruby Sparks, which she loves. I'm just wondering if had you always wanted to direct, or was it specifically about this project that you wanted to make?
Well, Zoe, my partner, wrote Ruby Sparks. I just acted in it, and she is a proper writer, and this was my first time, and I could not have done it without her. I have wanted to make a film for quite some time, and just had not found the right thing, and this was that thing, and I can't wait to make another one someday.
Okay, there was somebody just in the middle here. Yep. So the question is for Carey, and just a comment on the incredible emotional range that you display with the character. Was there anything in particular that touched you about this role?
Yeah, lots of things. I think the one scene that most surprised me was when he comes home at the end and asks what's going to happen to them as a family, and they can't answer. And I was really surprised how much that moved me, because I now have 2 kids. I had 1 then. But the idea of not being able to assure your child that you can protect them and that everything will always be all right, suddenly it was so moving and so tragic, and I'd never really, because I have such small children, I never really thought about it before. So that scene when he asks, is everything going to be all right? And I just I can't give him any solace. It was just really, really moving to me.
Yes, we'll go towards the back over here. Yep. For Carey, how has being a mother informed playing a mother, or how has playing a mother informed being a mother?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've played mums before. I think some bits I look back and think, God, that's not what it's like. And in previous film, so I wish I could go back and redo a few things. I don't know. I'm more tired now. And I've less time to sort of indulge in lots of research. Yeah, I think there are certain things that sort of hit home more when I was doing this, but like the piece I talked about. Yeah, I think the bar has been set much higher for the work that I do want to do, because I don't want to be away from my children. So, when the opportunity to work with someone like Paul and to make a film like this and to get a role that is this rich and detailed and complex and truthful, that is now the barometer for everything I want to do. I want it to be as good an experience as this, with as good a director as this, and as good a script.
Okay, before we go back down here, is there anybody up there that has a question? No? Okay, we're going to come back to the... Oh, sorry. Scream, yell, wave your hand. Okay, yep, go for it. Sorry. This person first, and then we'll go to the other one. Can you see where I'm pointing? Right there. Everybody get that eventually? Just about the casting of Ed in the role of Joe, and oftentimes he was the most mature character in the scene. If you could talk a little bit about how you found him. And
Yeah, I mean, somebody else making a movie about coming of age, they would have rebelled a lot. I remember, like, trying to hold things together more, and just make sure things were okay, and so that is something I really identified with that character in the book. Ed Oxenbould is the actor's name. We had a great casting director, Laura Rosenthal, and we got a tape from Australia from this kid with the name Ed Oxenbould, it's a great name. We'd seen a lot of kids at that point. It was the first time seeing the scenes the way I thought they maybe could have been, which is Ed had the space between the lines where you could see the window into him, that he was having thoughts and that he was making choices. And a lot of kids, it's just kind of their raw personality, which is incredible to see on film. But Ed's a real actor, and it was immediately clear. And the diner scene and the bar scene were his two audition scenes. And there was a moment in the bar scene where I would have put in the film if I could have. In fact, I think I tried to get him to, poor point of direction, I tried to get him to replicate something he did in his audition on the day, just on one take, and it wasn't there, and that was right, because he's really truthful, but it was that, I'm really, really lucky to have found Ed to keep up with Carey and Jake, and I mean, he was great, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he was brilliant to work with.
okay, is there someone still in the mezzanine with a question? Yes. Go for it. Yep, yeah, you with the two hands up. Yep. Although this is a period piece, this film resonates a lot with maybe some of the mentality of today, and wondering what you guys would both like us to take away from this.
I mean, I guess my hope is that you have a personal reaction to it. We've all got families. And I've talked to people after seeing the film in a really nice way about their own experience. And, I have always felt like if I can make contact with some part of myself and share that, hopefully you end up making contact with somebody else. Probably not everybody, frankly, but, so I don't really have something that I like, I think, what do you think?
I would echo that. Yeah, I think so. I don't have like a poster quote idea of what I think people should, but I do think, it's just recognizing something. But the part that I love about Jeanette's story, speaking selfishly, is that you're just seeing a sort of woman making pretty bad choices and doing fairly unlikable things, but hopefully you still somehow root for her to be all right. And I think that's a kind of rare thing to see on screen, that a woman can sort of mess everything up, and at the end of the day she's not defined by those mistakes, and you can still want her to survive it. So I think that's a nice thing to do. But I don't know, I think everyone will experience it totally differently depending on what life you've come from, I suppose.
Okay, we have time for just 2 more questions. There's some in the front here, so we're going to go to you with your hand up. Yep, right there. So the question is from an actor from India, and he was just looking for some advice.
So, advice. Well, golly, I don't know. It's such a hustle.
Well, work in a movie with Paul Dano as your director would be my advice.
Yeah, it's such a hustle, and God, to think on how many fucking auditions I've gone on when I was 18 or 20, and the amount of rejection, and it's a crazy thing to do. If you love, it sounds like you love it, so you'll hustle.
One last one down here. We're just going to go right to the front row. Go ahead. So the question is for Paul, if you can talk a bit about the choice to have Joe take Jeanette's seat in the final dining room scene, and also maybe a few scenes that kind of there was like reversals that were done.
So that's great, thanks, and that's nice because the film, the hope with the film is that it like looks simple, but it's hopefully not. When I was trying to articulate things to crew members, sometimes I would say I'd like it to be like a piece of sushi, like it looks really simple. It's just a piece of fish on rice, but it's like, so that's kind of, so a lot of that is just the simple differences within the frames, as the film goes on. And I hope that there is a, nice sense of, I don't know if there would be shadows or what, but rippling through echoes, throughout the film within the photography. I actually spent a lot of time and a lot of neurotic time, a lot of time with Diego thinking about how they should sit in that scene. And I don't know if I can intellectualize why we went with that. But I know I spent a lot of time staring at that table and thinking I'm going to ruin the film if I put them in the wrong seat. And same with the backdrop for the final portrait, because the other portraits are with the yellow background and we went blue, and fuck, that was a really hard, like those things are, but God, it's God's in the details, and that's also like the really fun part. So yeah.
Well, I think I loved the attention to the details. It sounds like all of you did as well. So thank you so much for coming. Congratulations. Thanks again.